mengalungkan kenyataan bagi pihak semua CSO. Dipersilakan.
Very much for coming to our press conference this morning. This is a 40 over NGO that support the statement, basically a call to the Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim to uphold the rule of law and let the court decide on the guilt or innocence of Najib Razak and all high-profile cases without application for discharge by the Attorney General. This statement came about because of what happened to Deputy Prime Minister Zahid Hamidi, where all 47 corruption cases or charges in the Yayasan Akabudi case was suddenly discharged, not amounting to acquittal or DNAA. This is, we recognize, is the power of the Attorney General under current law, Article 145, subsection 3, where he has the discretion to withdraw any ongoing cases. Now, the problem here is that our law also stipulates that the Attorney General is also the public prosecutor. So he has the power to initiate or institute or conduct or to withdraw or discontinue any cases. Now, we are not disputing that right now, but under the current legal arrangement, we also need to know that the Attorney General is someone that is appointed by the Prime Minister of the day. In other words, he is a political appointee. And that is why, or could that be the reason why we have seen in recent years, especially, a slew of discontinuance or withdrawal of cases, DNAA, or some even DAA, discharge from acquitted, totally acquitted. So we are concerned. We are very concerned. Given such power that the Attorney General have, and he is an appointee of the Prime Minister, that the next person on the list to be given a DNAA would be Najib Razak and his wife Rosma Mansur. We want to remind the Prime Minister, Anwar Ibrahim, and also all Malaysians, what this country has gone through in the last few years because of the 1MDB scandal. The 1MDB scandal, financial scandal, brought our country to the brink of financial collapse. And we are still living with the cost of that scandal, where our country have to pay billions and billions each year to finance, to pay off the loan accumulated by 1MDB. And it was because of 1MDB that Malaysia became well known for the wrong reason. We were a kleptocracy. In other words, a government that plunder its own people. Now, this is a reminder that the people who came out to vote in GE14, they voted basically for a change of government. They wanted a clean government. We also want to remind that at the last general election, GE15, the two main coalitions, Pakatan Harapan and Perikatan Nasional, campaigned on a platform of anti-corruption. And they won most of the votes, 68%, almost 70% of voters in GE15 voted for a clean government. Basically, Malaysians are sick and tired of systemic corruption that has been so much part of our country. And we want a government that is committed to a clean government. But first of all, in this case, this government must uphold the rule of law. The rule of law is part of our Rukun Negara, which means that, all we are asking today, all of us seated here today, all we are asking the Prime Minister to do is uphold the rule of law, let the court process this high-profile individual who were charged with corruption. Let the court do its duty, by determining based on facts and evidence whether they are guilty or not. We are not even prejudging Najib or Rosma, but we are asking that the court be allowed to process based on the evidence and at the end of it determine whether they are guilty or not, and they have the opportunity, like all Malaysians, to appeal the conviction if they were found guilty. That is all we ask. But if the Attorney General were to exercise his constitutional discretion and withdraw either a DNAA or DAA, the charges while it is going through the court, just like Zahid's case, I believe this is a red line that the Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim must not cross. This will be a total defiance of the wishes and aspiration of the Rakyat, who wants to see a clean government, a government that upholds the rule of law, and they long to see political stability. What we went through the last 3-4 years since the Sheraton move has really shaken our country, our confidence in our democracy, and also the confidence of investors globally who are looking to us and wondering, do we have political stability? Now, we believe that if the Prime Minister were to not regard the rule of law and irreparably damage the rule of law by letting go of Najib and Rosma, it will create a political instability in the country where the dissatisfaction of the people towards the government will be to such an extent that there will be incentive for others to try to bring down this Adani government because of the anger of the. Now, of course, if that doesn't happen, GE16 is just another 4 years away. And I believe that the people will not forgive this government. And there will be electoral consequences. And on top of that, investors will lose confidence in a country that do not respect the rule of law. So this is basically the gist of the statement that we have put together, calling on the Prime Minister, Anwar Ibrahim, to first of all uphold the rule of law so that we can have political stability and to be committed to a clean government. Do not release Najib or Rosma and all other high-profile cases involving politicians in corruption. We are aware there are many others that are in the court process that need to be processed by the court, including Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, Syed Saddiq, Lim Guan Eng. All these things, let the court process them rather than applying DNAA so that they can be let off. Now, this use of the power of the AG is nothing new. We saw very clearly during the time of 1MDB itself, how when the previous AG wanted to let go of, or rather wanted to charge Najib, he was removed from office suddenly and replaced with Apandi Ali, who then using his discretion waived evidence that there was no wrongdoing in 1MDB. And he continued to be the Prime Minister until the general election. This is the power that must be changed. At the core of this statement is really our call to initiate this reform. There are 4 demands that we have put together in this statement. The first is to impose a moratorium in any application by the AG for DNAA or total acquittal. Moratorium. No DNAA of high-profile cases until the separation of the public prosecutor from the AG's office has taken place. Number 2, this separation legally and in the Constitution should take place in a year's time at the end of 2024, because this was already promised by the Law Minister Azalina of Mansai after the DNAA of Zahid. She said that the cabinet is committed to that separation, and the 2 task force has been formed to study. So we say expedite it and get it done by the end of 2024, so that we can be free forever from selective prosecution or selective immunity from prosecution for those who are aligned with the government of the day. The third thing is to reopen and recharge DNAA cases of politicians charged with corruption, in particular but not limited to Zahid's Yayasan Akal Budi case. DNAA means you can be recharged, but oftentimes people are not recharged, and then after a while they apply for a total acquittal. But we are saying that this DNAA was applied by the AG. The reason given is that there are new evidence and they need to investigate further. So reinvestigate, recharge, so that the court can finish its job to determine guilt or innocence. Number 4 is more disturbing also, is to not withdraw or undermine all ongoing appeals by letting appeal opportunities to lapse, as in the case of the Najib Arukanda's 1MDB report tampering case. The court, I believe it was a high court, acquitted them. The AG had an opportunity, a time period to appeal the acquittal, but they forgot to, not once, but I believe twice. They applied for extension the first time. The second time, when they had a window to submit their appeal against the acquittal, in this case, the officer forgot to submit the appeal in such a high-profile 1MDB case, and they are both totally let off now. Now, this is totally unacceptable. There should be accountability. That officer concerned should be held to account. So these are the kind of matters that we are asking in this statement for the AG chambers and also the Prime Minister to uphold the rule of law. That is all we are asking. Thank you very much. Now I would like to just pass the time to my colleagues here who may have a word or two to say about this statement. Stanley, would you like to say?
Yeah, welcome to this PC, which is actually quite timely organized, because before the country being ruined to an extent that not only we are disappointed, and the whole world is looking at us and hoping that this country will get back to the right direction. Now, when DNA was announced, and it was at the verge of the retirement of our AG, it's actually quite what we call mysterious. And I think that this is actually amounting to a plot behind. And we are talking about integrity, we are talking about transparency, professional governance in this country, which form the basis of the institution reform. We have not actually gone that far yet. And it has already taken 60 years to try to see this country go back to the right direction and performing as a developing country in a vigorous manner in this world, and has actually been quite in vain. And the rakyat of this country has never actually given up. We have actually have our dream, we actually have our mission, we actually have our vision for a developed and a better country. And therefore, I think NGOs are having this important task to see that the governance of this country is actually in the hands of those capable, accountable people. Right now, we can see that some of these issues and phenomenon that has been happening in this country did not actually give us the assurance that we will improve. And therefore, the task rests upon all the NGOs is getting heavier and heavier and getting a bit more intense and immense at this moment, because the NGOs know that if we don't step up our own demand and at the same time come up on the stage to tell the government we are frustrated, we are not happy, and we are actually in a way of a situation where we not only disappointed, but at the same time, it seems that the riot have been all the time blindfolded and something happening behind. Some people call it deep state, but we say that this is actually a very dishonest way of putting this governance who actually people responsible and at the same time try to evade the situation. So I think let's work together and let's actually put a very immediate pressure to this government, and at the same time tell the government that actually we can't tolerate further. Already we said no tolerance to corruption, but actually at the same time is no tolerance to those rubbish so-called accusers or whatever so-called government punya the hope on all that this country for the better Malaysia, and we are actually not actually going to tolerate further. And I hope that everybody, including the press, are able to exert our pressure on the government as a right of the riot. It has to be a people-centric good governance rather than a politician-centric government. Thank you.
Thank you. Stanley, who is the president of Gabungan Bertindak Malaysia GBM. So I want to next invite Ms. Ong of KL Selangor Chinese Assembly Hall Women's Chairperson to say a few words.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm invited to speak in Mandarin. I represent KLSCAH. I'm the chairperson of Women Division. 我们今天呢，我是代表龙雪华堂，我是龙雪华堂妇女组的主席。从金门一开始一系列的所有反贪活动，其实龙雪华堂都是站在支持的这一面，因为我们相信，只有我们邻近的政府，人民才有很好的生活，我们的国家经济才有希望。这一次，我们得到邀请，那么经选民发起的这一项反对释放但不等于无罪的这个行动，表以支持。因为我们相信，如果司法要得到公正的进行，所有政府方面的干预，因为现在我们明白这个体系，我们的总检察司是由政府直接委任的。如果我们需要这一方面得到独立，司法得以正常的运作，不受到任何的政治干预，它必须是分开的，它必须不能够受到干预。 而现在我们目前看到的情形是，刚刚发生的我们的前副首相扎西他得到这个释放，但不等于无罪的这种法庭的批准，我们认为，对总检察司在这一方面没有尽到真正进行在司法给予他的责任，他利用了这个权限，没有去进行一系列正当正常必须运作的这个司法程序来审判，在这个所有的证据上面进行审判，而选择了一个直接让我这个有可能面对审讯、有可能面对追审的人得到一个很优待的这个待遇，他不需要面对审讯，而暂时因为这个不等于无罪释放，不等于他不再被提控，但是现在让人民对这件事情呢失去了一个信心，对司法的失去了一个信心，对让全世界的人的投资者也对我们的这个政府，甚至我们的司法失去一个信心。我们相信这种行为是不被容许的，人民必须把我们的声音，反对的声音，就像郑良明一向带起来的这个反贪污的声音，让我们的政府能够听得到，让我们的首相能够听得到。人民在上次的这个选举活动中，我们也表达了我们的看法，我是支持这个反贪污的，支持政府的口号，我们必须反贪污。所以我们也希望我们的首相能够真正的落实他的承诺，我们要拥有一个不贪污、没有贪污的政府，来保障我们人民将来的生活，我们的国家的经济得以很顺利的在很安静廉洁的环境中成长。所以这次也是我们龙雪花堂来这里要表达我们支持的，让我们的国家能够在一个完全没有贪污的环境下，能够与全世界经济同起同飞。Thank you.
谢谢你 ，Thank you very much. So I also want to, before I ask others as well to comment, I also want to ask Beverly Joman, the Vice Chair of Bersih Sabah, to also say a few words in BM.
Terima kasih Thomas, Kepivosian. Isu ini bukan saja berkaitan di sebelah persekutuan di semenanjung Malaysia especially, tapi juga pada dia menjadi satu kepentingan untuk rakyat Sabah juga, dan kita ingin membuat satu call agar Perdana Menteri Anwar Ibrahim untuk melaksanakan reformasi yang telah dinyatakan oleh saudara Thomas tadi, sebab kami juga saya mempercayai bahawa agenda reformasi ini dalam jawatan peguam negara untuk dipisahkan kuasanya dengan untuk dipisahkan, ia sangat dinantikan oleh rakyat Malaysia. Ini yang kita telah bicarakan selama ini, sudah dikatakan di parlimen juga, dan ini adalah satu reformasi yang terlalu lama tertangguh, dan kami harap bahawa bila ini berlaku, ia menjadi satu pegangan oleh Perdana Menteri kita yang selalu memperjuangkan agenda reformasi dan menekankan kepentingan tadbir urus yang baik. Saya rasa itu saja yang saya akan tambah komen lah pada persidangan ini. Terima kasih.
Before we go on, I just want to say that this statement was endorsed by 49 NGOs, and of course, apart from Bersih, we have ABIM, Agora, Aliran. I won't read all 49, obviously. Aliran Awam, who is here, the Empower Sister in Islam, G25, GBM, Ideas, Ikram, Chinese Assembly Hall, and Patriot, Maju, Pusat Komas, Rasuah Buster, Swaram, and many others. So altogether 49. So we are standing in solidarity. You know, this is the voice of civil society, voicing our concern to the present government that they should not revert to what we came out from, but there has to be a commitment to uphold the rule of law and to fight corruption in this country. So next, I just want to ask anyone, Rosanna? Okay, Yoglin, Rosanna, anything?
I think I will not use. Is it recording? So you need the mic? Oh, I see. Okay. Good morning, friends and media friends, right? I'm Yoglin from President of All Women's Action Society. GE12, we managed to deny the 2/3 of the then ruling government of the day, okay, Barisan Nasional. And for years, ever since we set up this government and formed Malaysia, we have always been strengthened by this corruption issue, cronyism, and until GE12, we managed to see a light. And we thought the country would be better from them. 13 and GE15, we as voter, I'm speaking here not only as a civil society representative, but as a voter, as a mother, as the daughter. And I want to see the country. Simply, just one demand, be clean, no corruption, no cronyism. Unfortunately, why you and I casted the vote in this GE15, we thought we have seen lights, right? And in fact, many people thought that, kenapa itu voting tak benar guna sekarang, no use, right? You go to the voting station and you thought that little piece of paper wouldn't do any wonder to change the fate of the country. But people still went, all right? And we make that choice. And we make that choice because we want to see a clean, a good governance, a practice in the government. But unfortunately, cases like this happen. And you and I are in worry of what? And Najib was one of the key issue, right, being picked up in the last election and previous election. And today, apart from Zahid case, we are so worried, right? And even not only that, Lim Guan Yin case, okay, Tunku Annam, right? And not to mention the Sabah Sarawak, and I'm from Sabah. Sabah Sarawak, you know, who are we talking about? So, as the civil society there, and also me as a voter, and many of us as voters, we say, no, enough is enough, all right? And please give back to us the rule of the day. We want a clean, a responsible, and accountable, and a transparent government. And that's all we want. Thank you.
Sebagai rakyat Malaysia, apa yang kami harapkan ialah supaya kerajaan melaksanakan tanggungjawab mereka yang telah diamanahkan oleh rakyat supaya menjadi kerajaan yang bersih. Kerajaan yang bersih adalah kerajaan yang madani. Kerajaan yang tidak bersih bukanlah kerajaan yang madani. Terima kasih.
Thank you very much.
Pertama sekali saya nak ucapkan semua yang hadir pada hari ini. Saya tidak akan mengulang apa yang dikatakan oleh kawan-kawan kita yang diperkatakan tadi. Tapi ingin saya tekankan adalah sudah jauh sebenarnya kita sampai di sini pada hari ini. Ini bukanlah perjuangan yang pendek, bukan perjuangan yang singkat. Tetapi naik turun perbincangan, turun kepada rakyat, pergi ke jalanan, mesyuarat demi mesyuarat. Kita tidak boleh mengalah pada tahap ini. Ingatlah, isu korupsi ini bukan hanya tentang isu seorang ahli politik, dua orang ahli politik, tapi tentang isu kemiskinan yang masih banyak di bawah sana. Isu kenaikan harga yang masih banyak, dan ini semua berpunca daripada isu korupsi yang tidak henti. Dan kalau kita mengalah pada isu seperti ini, pada hari ini, saya tidak pasti ke mana kita akan pergi ke hadapan dan apakah madani yang kita sering perbincangkan dalam keadaan kita tidak boleh melawan benda yang sangat jelas di depan mata kita sekarang ini. Jadi saya fikir bersama-sama kawan-kawan, yang lain-lain. Kita harus teruskan ni dan kerajaan pada hari ini harus bertanggungjawab dalam hal ini.
Terima kasih.
Thank you for being here. The only thing I would add, and everything that has been said, I endorse and support. The only thing I would add is, it's highly disrespectful of this government to apply the DNAA when the mandate that this government got was on a platform of zero tolerance for corruption. Okay, so let the courts decide on a person's innocence or guilt. Primarily a person that has already had a prima facie case proven against him. Okay, so bring the evidence to court and allow the court to decide. Thank you.
Thank you. We will ask Awang from Pusat Komas.
Salam dan selamat pagi. Terima kasih Bersih kerana menjemput dan menganjurkan PC ini. Komas bersetuju dengan kenyataan yang telah dikeluarkan di Bersih dan juga disokong oleh 49 NGO dan CSO yang disebutkan tadi. Sebagai sebuah NGO yang turut sama menyokong agenda reformasi institusi ini, walaupun kita bekerja di bidang sedikit berbeza, saya suka nak ingatkan kerajaan PMX Anwar Ibrahim mengenai Madani itu sendiri, di mana salah satu asas fundamentalnya adalah trust. Kalau bahasa Inggerisnya script lah, bahasa Melayunya Madani kan. Jadi Komas sebelum PRU 15 pun telah terlibat sedikit sebanyak dalam kerja-kerja pendidikan pengundi, di mana kita telah berusaha juga bersama NGO-NGO lain untuk mendidik pengundi mengenai hak mereka, kepentingan keluar mengundi. Dan kita memohon agar Perdana Menteri tidak mensia-siakan usaha yang dilakukan oleh pertubuhan masyarakat madani atau pertubuhan masyarakat sivil ini yang sedikit sebanyak telah mengembalikan sedikit kepercayaan rakyat terhadap sistem demokrasi di Malaysia. Dan kita tidak mahu penyelewengan kuasa, terutama dalam kes DNAA ini, mencalarkan kerja-kerja yang telah kita lakukan. Sekian, terima kasih.
Terima kasih Awang. Oli.
我这边也添加一些华语的解说啊。从一马基金呢，我们可以看得出来，马来西亚的总检察署也包括了检控官的权限是很大的。在检控官要开始检控、打算检控的时候呢，他马上被撤换，这是一个非常巨大的权利。而马来西亚现在这两者是合在一起的。所以呢，在这里我来自愿景工程呢 ，engage 要呼吁，赞成竞选们的呼吁，同时呢，我们也要呼吁把总检察署和检控官的职责分开。谢谢。
Okay, thank you very much. Now I would like to open up for questions that you may have, members of the media. Or you have a question that you want to direct to any one of us, feel free as well. Well, this is the statement. It is, you can call it an open letter to the Prime Minister. So this is the first communication that we are putting forth to the Prime Minister. And I'm sure he has people in the press, or rather there is press people that pick up all these things. But we will want to make sure that he gets it in his office as well. So we will send a copy of this very important statement to him. It's really an appeal from civil society to really live up to the aspiration of the people of Malaysia. Correct. Thanks for reminding me. So this is a joint statement by civil society, 49 members of civil society, but we did not accept any individual endorsement. So we want to give this opportunity to all Malaysians who agree with this statement, you know, the core of this statement, to sign online on change.org our petition. We will be putting out this details on our social media, and also if the members of the press can help us to publicize. We want the Malaysian public, you know, to speak up on this matter, this very important matter. I would say this is such an important issue that it will determine whether Malaysia as a country go forward or forever be condemned to be a pariah state in the world. Okay, so please speak up by signing the online petition on change.org. Yes, not really. I think it's too early to talk about rallies at the moment. This is not what this statement is about. This statement is to appeal to the Prime Minister not to cross the red line. Because once you cross the red line, beyond rally is not the worst thing that can happen. The worst thing that can happen to our country is that we will be labeled as a country that endorses corruption, and people who are corrupt can get away from justice because of its change in government. The worst thing that can happen to this country is that investors will look at our country as a country that do not uphold the rule of law, no different from any banana republic in the world. So that is the worst thing that can happen. Do not cross this straight line. But if that's happened, then we will talk again about what we as citizens can do. Yes, campaign. We are looking at putting together a campaign, because we know just a press conference like this, it only goes so far, you know, with politics. But we want a sustained campaign until this reform has taken place, the separation of the PP from the AG. So Bersih will be coming out with a campaign that basically encapsulate the three things that I mentioned. One is that kedaulatan undang-undang, the rule of law. You know. Two is that political stability, kestabilan politik. Because I think most Malaysians are really quite sick of the politicking. Number three is that we want a clean government. You hear everyone here, this is our aspiration. This is really all we ask for from Anwar Ibrahim. Do the right thing. So a campaign will be coming forth. Well, any online petition, of course, will be online for a long time. But I think we would like to run a proper campaign where we hit 100 over 1,000 within a month or even less. And if with the support of civil society and the members of public, and the message get out, I believe a vast majority of Malaysians will support the core of this statement. Like I say, during the last GE 15, if you take that election voting as petition, 68%, you know, voted against corruption. That's what it was. Most people who came out to vote, they are voting for a clean government. Yeah. So I would like to see this petition breaking all records and send a strong message to the Madani government. We are looking to kind of like launch probably in a month or two, or even beginning of next year. I think it is important, first of all, we gauge the response of the Prime Minister to our statement. If he is silent, means that because this statement clearly called for him to respond to our call. We are expecting a response from him, but if he is silent, we will take it that he is not taking our statement seriously. Then a campaign definitely will be forthcoming. But if he respond affirmatively, positively, we will want to not just take his word for it, but we want to engage with him through either the law minister or through parliament to make sure that this reform is taking place. But for sure, we will not let up until the reform has taken place and the AG is free from being politicized as an agency, as a body. Yes, when we in civil society talk about campaign, we are really talking about going to the public. You know, the most important stakeholder to us as civil society here is are the members of the public. If the public are with us, they support our cause, our demands, either expressing through online petition, through media interviews, through turning out even for protests, then it is a strong signal to the politician that the members of the public support our campaign. So it is really purely to me going to the public for support. And this is something that we will be wanting to do in the next 1 year until the reform has taken place. We know that to separate the function of the public prosecutor from the AG is a constitutional amendment. It's not something that can just happen like that. And we believe in consultation. We are the one who asked for consultation. So it will be a process. But we are saying 1 year is enough timeline for that to happen. So in the meantime, we'll be going to the public for their support.
All of us. So in that light, the campaign or any small action shouldn't be just rest upon the civil societies, right? And the individuals, as a voter, you speak up, right? We may not know so much about the technicality. Okay, separation. So what does it mean? What is that a legal process will involve? But all of us know that we want an accountable, non-corruptive leader to be left scot-free. And then that's all of us we know. So we speak up. As an individual, as a voter, we can all speak up, right? And no need to just wait until the civil society of Bersih taking the lead, all right? Because this is our country. And we want this country to be a better country, uphold the rule of law as this statement says so. And we want this government to continue. That is very important. We want this because for so many years, we have been changing prime minister for the past in the past 2 years, 1.5 years, right? 3 prime minister. Okay, we would like to see a stable government. And that is why critical engagement with the government, listen to us. And Bersih will play the role continuously in the past 20 years that, submitting reliable memorandum and legal consultation. They also have experts to offer that kind of a suggestion. So talk to us. And within this 1 year, hopefully, we will be able to have this separation of PP and the AG, right? And hopefully, no more nonsense of this DNAA, DAA happens. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Any other question? Yes, I would say the Prime Minister attempted to explain Legally, the AG has the discretionary power. We understand that. But we also know that the AG is someone appointed by the Prime Minister and in many ways is accountable to the Prime Minister. And the very fact that the outgoing AG, Idris Harun, before he applied the DNAA, he went to consult and discuss with the Prime Minister on the matter, shows that in some, quite clearly to me, the Prime Minister does have an influence. Because if he doesn't have Idris Harun, don't even need to go and see him. So I would say that now we have a new AG appointed by PMX himself, so there is no more excuse on new DNAA. Certainly, all we are asking is uphold the rule of law, allow the judiciary, that's what they are there for, to determine based on fact that is in open court whether this person is guilty or not, and not allow the AG to determine based on fact that is hidden behind closed doors whether a person should be tried or not, or whether the trial should be continued or not. That is not justice to me. Any other questions? I think if by then this reform has not moved forward to the point of being tabled in Parliament, the members of the public will probably judge this government as a government that make promises but they don't keep, a government that is not committed to the reform agenda to make this country cleaner. And that, I think, will basically give justification to those who want to bring down the Madani government. So on our part, of course, we will follow up closely. We will, of course, issue clear statement on the matter, and then by then we will decide our next course of action. Any other question? You can ask anyone. Yeah. All right. If not, then we take a group photo together, shall we? Thank you.